Great show by GCW. What a show by GCW. Surprised the hell out of me. But that being said, crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious is the theme of this show that they put on last night. What a show it was. A lot of great wrestling on this show. The opening act or the opening of the show had Matt Cardona come out. I mean, indie god. If you know him on the scene, dude's been putting in so much work on the indies. I mean, he's made a fortune just being on the indies. He showed a lot of wrestlers, including Cody Rhodes, that you can do it on the indie scene. You can rebuild your character, rebuild your freaking reputation and credibility, and, you know, make a living, an honest living. And Matt's still on the road, still doing him. So he came out to advance his storyline because he hasn't been on TV for a while, for months, since he got, stabbed in the back by his boy, Jimmy Lloyd, who he was calling Broski Jimmy at the time, with their whole deaf family or deaf royalty clique that he had with Steph DeLander, Jimmy Lloyd, and Mance Warner. So he came out, did the whole bullshit, say, hey, I went through counseling. I want to forgive you. Come out. You apologize. I'll make you my broski again. Of course, that didn't happen. And ding, ding, ding. The match started with him and Mance Warner. Jimmy Lloyd and Mance Warner started their match. Shenanigans happened. Matt Cardona came out, interfered. Jimmy Lloyd loses the match against Mance Warner, which is pretty much expected because I think they're probably going to try to build up a program with Matt Cardona versus Jimmy Lloyd eventually, which is great because it'll have a lot of story to it, given that they were literally just in a group together and Jimmy Lloyd turned his back on him. So good storytelling. You want to keep advancing stories and make things make sense. That's all we care about if you're a real wrestling fan. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole card, even though the whole card delivered. I just want to talk about some of the matches that I cared about the most. So next, let's talk about Atticus Cogar versus Sam Stackhouse. Now, it wasn't the greatest little match, but it had some of the best story of the night because it's a match that was built off of a match that happened a week or two ago. Now, Atticus was in a feud with Fuego del Sol, formerly of AEW, Sammy Guevara's buddy. Now, Sammy Guevara's buddy been wrestling in GCW for the last year or two. So he's like a regular there now. So they had a match, Fuego against Atticus, and it was like his match versus, I can't remember what Atticus put up, but Fuego lost. He actually lost the match and he had to demask. And from what we all expected, and from what, the wrestling world expected, is that he would have retired now after he demasked himself, showed the world, and he said, I'm going home to my family. I've been selfish, yada, yada, yada. I mean, it was a really good thing. I mean, he worked us because a lot of people thought it was over for him. Yeah, and did really any interviews after that. How some cats, they go off kayfabe and they want to go on the internet, do their little internet interviews and say, hey, I'm building up this storyline. He didn't do any of that. Everybody assumed he was done, but he wasn't. That's when we got worked. He came out to interfere, not on behalf of his friend who was fighting this match because of his friend losing his mask. He didn't turn on Atticus. He turned on his friend, Sam. Beat the hell out of Sam. Caused Atticus to win the match. Atticus had no idea or why he did it. But as a bad guy would, he was happy he won the match, of course. So, great storytelling. It was great storytelling. It was one of those things that surprised me. I sat back in my chair and I said, ooh, look at GCW trying to put together cohesive storytelling. So Fuego turned on him. So now that's something that GCW fans can look forward to in the weeks to come, as far as why Fuego, why. My next match I want to talk about is the JCW World Championship. Masha Slamovich versus Jonathan Gresham. Where has Jonathan Gresham been all this time? I haven't seen him in a while. Maybe I just been kind of napping on the indie scene for a little bit, but this is the first match I've seen from him in a while. Maybe since some old Prestige Wrestling match I seen, a show I seen last year, probably. So he's probably been taking time off, but nevertheless, the dude looks solid. He's 37 years old and he built like a brick house. I know he only 5'4", but 190 pounds of solid muscle is Jonathan Gresham. And Masha Slamovich, man, she's one of the best female wrestlers in the business right now. I've said this over and over again, and I'll continue to say it. She is one of the best performers in the business as far as the women's wrestling. I mean, not even just women's wrestling, because she wrestles dudes a lot of the times, like she did in this match with Gresham, one of the best mat wrestlers in the world, hands down. And he stretched her out. He controlled most of the match. And then Masha made her valiant comeback like a babyface should. And she ended up winning the match in a solid technical expose. So Masha Slamovich, man, she's not only that GCW world champion as far as that indie promotion is concerned on the East Coast, Jersey promotion. She's also the Knockouts TNA Women's World Champion. And who did she beat for that belt? Jonathan Gresham's wife, Jordan Grace. So this is how these things work. The indies, one thing I want to stress to you guys as well is that the indies is where a lot of these wrestlers that don't get a lot of TV time get to cut their teeth and hone their skills, get better. Nick Wayne is another one of those guys who lived in the indies, and now he's getting a big push on the AEW TV screen with Christian and the family and the patriarchy and all of that. But this is what a lot of wrestlers have to do. Megan Bain, who's getting a huge push now in AEW, she was putting in hella work in GCW, wrestling the dudes, bleeding, getting shit stuck in her head and all of that, doing the whole thing like the dudes. So, you know, GCW's been solid for a while, man. It's just that they don't get talked about enough. I don't know why. A lot of these big channels who love to talk about the same goddamn thing all the time should, you know, take the time to talk more about the GCWs of the world. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, on to, I'm going to skip ahead and talk about the World Championship match between Effie and Hammerstone. These are two guys, again, I don't understand why these guys don't get looked at enough as far as the WWE and AEW is concerned. Effie would be the perfect roster addition for any of those promotions who want to be, quote unquote, more inclusive. Now, I know we're not in a more inclusive era anymore because, and you know, a particular orange guy in charge. But if you really wanted to pretend to be all inclusive, Effie would be the perfect addition because of, you know, his personal stance, him being a part of the LGBTQ plus community, and him just being a freaking really great performer. He's a really great performer. I watched a lot of his matches last year. He had one of the best feuds of the year with he and Mance Warner, where later he ended up getting the best of that feud by taking the belt off of Mance Warner at the Hammerstein Ballroom earlier this year. So now Effie's the main guy. He is the face of the company. And, you know, he's just doing what he normally does, man. Putting on matches, entertaining matches one after one night at a time. Nothing changed here with this match with Hammerstone. Hammerstone controlled most of the match. Him being 270 pounds, 6'4" of just meat. And, you know, he controlled the match for most of the part. And, you know, he was going to finish Effie off in his finisher. I can't remember what it's called, the death pendulum or whatever he called it, which is, he got a nice finisher. He didn't get it off. Effie rolled him up, got the pin. And it was great for him to lose that way because it's Hammerstone, man. You want him to be, if he's going to lose, because Effie can't lose because he's the main guy. He's a full timer for GCW. He can't drop the strap. So you got to protect Effie, of course, being the guy. And then you protect Hammerstone, as far as his reputation and all of that, by giving him a roll-up loss. So it protects Hammerstone. So it was a solid match all around. I mean, it's a great, solid co-headliner with the death match later to come, which I didn't really pay attention to because I'm not into the gore. I'm not into the blood squirting out of people's heads and people slipping on blood puddles and shit. I'm not into that. Not my bag. Sorry. So I didn't pay attention to that. That was the GCW Ultra Violent Championship. That's not my thing. So I didn't pay attention to that. But I saved my favorite match last, even though the match was in the first hour of the show. I don't think it should have been. It should have been later in the show, in my opinion, given that I thought it was the best match of the night. And that was the GCW Tag Team Championship match between Alec Price and Jordan Oliver, the champions, versus some British group called Subculture. Man, these dudes put on a clinic. You talk about the prototypical tag team wrestling match that you like to see back and forth, near fall after near fall. I mean, I've seen some moves in this match that I've never seen before, which is crazy, or I just don't remember seeing before. And I watch a lot of wrestling. This dude, Alec Price, is impressive. He was the guy that did some moves and moved around in the ring in a way that was just like top tier level, where you're like, when you see Will Ospreay move in the ring, you see like a Ricochet move around where it's like natural movement for them. That kid, Alex Price, got that same natural movement. And I don't know how long he's going to be on the indies, but if I was one of these bookers, I would be trying to get that kid. He is pretty good. He's only 26. But anyway, these two tag teams put on a clinic. It was great. It was actually the match that kept me watching throughout the night, because it was a good reason it was in the beginning of the show, because it was straight up wrestling. It was no crazy spots, no ultra violent anything. It was just straight up wrestling, straight up tag team wrestling at its finest. And they delivered, man. If you wanted to go watch this show again, or if it's on Triller TV Plus. If you have that, definitely check out the match. This one in particular is worth watching. So yeah, great wrestling card, top to bottom. I'm definitely happy that GCW is still rolling along and putting on solid match cards like this, because we need more options. WWE is starting to settle into their old ways again as far as putting on marginal television, mid of the mid. And then with Tony Khan and in AEW, you never know, because his storytelling and his booking fluctuates, sometimes week to week, sometimes month to month. So having other options like GCW is great for everybody. If it's great for the boys and girls, and it's great for the fans.